today's presenter. Today's presenter is Sharon Jones, and she has custom handcrafted tiles at SJ Studios. So let's give a hand to Sharon Jones. Welcome.
Oh, I see.
You have 6 minutes.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good morning. Good morning. So I made it. So anyways, my name is Sharon Jones, and originally from Seattle, Washington. That's where I was born and raised. And I lived there until I finished my master's degree in material science and ceramic engineering at the University of Washington. And after that, I went straight to work, and I worked at Hughes Aircraft in California, and worked on microelectronics research and development, looking at superconductors and low-temperature coal-fired ceramics. Then I worked in optical fiber manufacturing for years, and I became the furnace guru at Corning in North Carolina. And the science and technology aspect of all of those jobs was really neat. It was fascinating. But the job structure was something that I considered to not be a good fit, and so it was kind of a mutual separation when I left engineering. The problem was I didn't have a plan, but I had been inspired and wanted to explore life, and that was based on one episode of trauma, Life in the ER, and one of the doctors there he was head of the Las Vegas hospital. And he had worked in construction, he had been an auto mechanic, and so as working as a surgeon, he made the comment that on the weekends he worked for NASCAR, and he thought it was really neat that he could fix the car or the driver. And to me, I thought that's a neat concept to have more than one career. And I also had found out through like a Myers-Briggs personality test that I was not really cut out to be an engineer. So that kind of explained my feelings. So even though I did good technology-wise, it was just the job itself. So I've always been a creator, and I was a creator as a scientist, and now I'm a creator as an artist. Being a creator in my job led to invention awards, one patent, which got the company millions of dollars in savings. I got a framed $2 bill saying, "Isn't it great to be a scientist?" And so I thought, well, I can do better than that, right? The return was really not there. So, and I'm impressed because even as of yesterday, I see that some of my ideas that I had come up with are still being used at the companies that I worked for. So now, after striking out on my own, my creativity, of course, is through my tiles, but also I feel like I'm always coming up with ideas, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. I've heard the term serial entrepreneur being used, and I think that's part of the thing that people that are very creative deal with, is how do you focus and build something on that. So one of the things I did was, I should say this, I get asked all the time, how did you end up making tile? And my answer usually is, I really am not sure. And that's the response I get, really? You don't know? But I think it's just because of the way life is. You just kind of sometimes seem to stumble into things. And so I had been painting, and my mom and dad were very adamant on us having a full life experience, so they exposed us to all types of things. Seattle, during the time that I was growing up, was a really wonderful place to grow up. It's a lot more crowded now, a lot more expensive now too. And so working with clay and tile just really are a good fit for me. I love construction, and that's probably partly because of my engineering background and the technology. The pictures below show the block tile, plaster. So I ended up getting exposed to tile by going into construction, and when I realized, I took a job as a helper on a tile crew that was building track homes in North Carolina, and I have to say that was probably the hardest job I've ever had, because when you're the new guy, you get to do all the grunt work. I mixed the mud, I carried the backer boards, I screwed backer boards in all day long. And I was so tired getting home that I finally understood a lot of guys coming home and they don't kick their shoes off, they just plop down on the couch, they don't care if they ate dinner, and that was me. I really was exhausted, but I learned so much, and I ended up taking the, that's BAC, is Brick and Allied Crafts Worker Union. They have an apprenticeship program. I did that for 2 years after I left that construction job, because I realized that was how I was going to learn how to set tile. So fast forward, what this shows here is a before picture of a kitchen. So what I do now is I make handmade custom tiles and mosaics for kitchens, bathrooms, commercial and residential applications. The process is, like, this is a before picture of a kitchen, and I work with a client, I give them a sketch, we talk about what they're looking for, I send them something like this through the computer, through email, and I also can meet with them, again, depending on how, quote unquote, how picky they are and how much control they want to have in the process. Usually this stage right here is, quote unquote, good enough, and the person gets an idea of what that backsplash is going to look like. And then I start the process, drawing out the design to scale, taking into consideration shrinkage and all that's going to happen during the firing. And in something like this, each piece is cut by hand, and actually each piece is numbered, believe it or not. So on the back of each one of these tiles is a number, because when it comes out of the kiln, there's just no way to tell what goes where. And then put it back together, and you can see the difference in color and that type of thing. So sometimes with ceramics, it's like Christmas when you open the kiln, because it's just so much neater looking after it's fired. And the other thing this shows is just a combination of a regular commercial tile. This is a $2 square foot white subway tile, and then $165 square foot handmade tile. So you can balance it out. And there's the final product. And this is a mural. This is showing more of an exterior application. This is part of a mural that I did in Wilmington, Delaware. It's 75 feet long, and actually each one of these tiles is numbered, 2,300 pieces, all handmade. And so that took a couple of months, and I shipped it on it ships on a mesh, so the tiles can be installed anywhere. And the nice thing about this is this tile is seeing freeze thaw, and the commercial tiles that frame the mural are actually not holding up as well as my handmade tiles, so I feel kind of like, you know. And this is the tile in Florida, a swimming pool. And this is one where the customer gave me like a little, you know, just a sketch, like a 2x2 sketch, and said, I want this, and we worked it out. This is a mural in Anderson, South Carolina. This was recently finished. This is a commemorative project that commemorates a black business district in Anderson. It was called Church Street. And so this is a collaboration where I didn't come up with the design. So I found that to be one of the hardest projects, because I was actually using my hands to create something that somebody else had a vision for. There are 4 of these panels, and each of us got to contribute some of the featured elements in the mural. So the little dancing lady up there is my attempt at sculpting. So that was, I don't usually do faces and people, but that was a lot of fun. It took me a little while to figure it out. The fish sandwich down here is like a traditional fried fish sandwich. And so we were talking about the restaurants and the other black businesses that were owned. And the reason we did that mural is because Church Street during the 70s was completely leveled and replaced with a parking lot. And this tells the story of the hundreds of black businesses that were here during those times. You know, 1910, 1940 was kind of the heyday. And so it kind of really also came full circle, because me being a potter, basically, I don't know if anybody's heard of Edgefield or Dave the Potter. There's always that inspiration in the back of my mind of thinking that I'm working and getting paid for what I do, and it kind of makes me choke up to think about him working and not getting paid. And this you might recognize as somewhere here local, I'm not sure what's Williams-Brice Stadium. So the other thing I've been trying to do to grow my business is license myself to do logos. And that's the Gamecock logo. So I have to say that I've tried for years and years to get with Clemson, because it's very close, 7 miles away from where I live. And I just always had difficulty. So I said, you know, let me try that other team. And so I was, you know, I worked with them, and you know, we took time to develop the color. That garnet red is not an easy color to get, and so next thing you know, I'm making a custom Gamecock mosaic, and it's installed in Williams-Brice Stadium. That's a close-up of it, and handmade wood frames, because I also do my own framing, and there it is. It's in the bathroom. It's in the bathroom in the presidential suite, though, so I call it "Is That the Throne?" So, because the funny thing is, when you look at the presidential suite, the only kind of wall space, originally it was going to be a backsplash, but then we realized that it would never be seen because all the chafing dishes and food and that kind of thing. So when I was walking around the suite looking for where they might put it in, I saw all those blank walls, and I said, I have a feeling it's going to end up in there. And there it is. So I still feel proud of it. It was a lot of fun. And this is more typical since I moved to South Carolina. When I was doing tile in Florida, it was palm trees, palm trees, palm trees, and now it's the palmetto and crescent. So that's the largest size tile that I make. The inside part is about 14 by 16. So trying to make a tile that big and that flat is the tricky part, and that's what, with the Gamecock tile, that was part of the hardest part too, was trying to keep them flat. Another palmetto and crescent. And now I do birds and trees, and this is showing kind of an inspiration here, is that as we grow as a society and we're developing the lands, I just noticed that trees are something that I feel like we're losing, and so I try to honor the environment as well in the work that I do. So if anybody has any questions, I believe that's it. Okay.
Grant,